welcome to the SportSpace podcast. It's your host with the most, True Golf.
You can't come in like that. You have to do a little bit of a jingle.
Alright,
a little too much of a jingle. Tone it down.
You said we need a jingle, bro.
It's all good, you know.
I'm trying to give these niggas a jingle.
I like the excitement.
Ask me one thing, bro.
I like the excitement for our new section, man. What are we getting into right now for the people?
Oh, yes, sir. Actually, you're here at CNN Network. Actually, the... RNN Network, the real nigga network.
Huh?
Anyways, nah, bro.
Listen, I'm not using any profanity on this one. I'm about to be so on my toes.
We're gonna try to be on our toes.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm gonna try that too as a little challenge. To be completely honest with you, because this is interesting. But like we announced in a previous podcast on the main pod that we were going to be doing some things a little bit differently in 2021. And one of the ideas we had was to separate the main podcast from the sports podcast, right? And just kind of give like a section for those who like the sports to have like their whole sports in one area. Those who like the regular podcast to have the regular podcast in one area. Really, which we encourage those who like both to just be able to watch both in some shorter form content. Right?
So hopefully from this endeavor, y'all will be able to take something special that we've kind of been neglecting in certain episodes because, you know, it's a lot to jam pack into a little bit over an hour, especially on our schedules and trying to do everything that we want. So hopefully, by separating these pieces of content, we'll be able to give you not just more content, but better content. And I'm hoping that's what we're able to do today. So without further ado, I'm ready to go ahead and get into it because I know there's some good conversations.
For sure. And I'm not always going to be dressed crazy, to be completely honest with you. It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's a sports cast, so why don't I sports cast? You feel me? Like, yes, sir. But coming to you, starting us off today on our sports segment, we're going to be speaking about, who would have guessed?
America's
the
favorite.
motherfucking... I said I'm going to be better about cussing, and immediately almost cussed. Wow, this is going to be a long trial. But anyways, give us some ideas, truly. Like, we don't know what name we're going to stick for the sports episode. This is just episode 1, so we'll see.
All of our punny viewers, we appreciate y'all, so go ahead and give us something.
Especially the punny viewer. I said viewers, wow. But
punny
anyways,
viewers.
We're going to get straight into it, though. The Super Bowl happened this past weekend. I was very fortunate enough to watch it around some of the homies. You were able to watch it around just...
Myself?
Yourself.
Isolated. I'm trying my hardest to get this pandemic over with, you know? So I'm just not doing anything. Hopefully. I'm over it, if y'all can't tell. So it wasn't too bad of an experience. Just watching it with the family.
Yes, sir, ski. And so with the Super Bowl going on this year, there's a lot of things that we thought were going to be different. One is but they had 25,000 people in the stadium, boy.
Yeah, this is one event that didn't get slowed down at all by the worldly circumstances around it.
I'm sorry. People were all wondering, kind of trying to speculate what was going to happen, bro. With the money that they bring into the Super Bowl, we should have assumed that the NFL was never going to have that one short.
I think what's tough, though, isn't the fact that there was 25,000 people, but you know the stigma behind especially influencers and celebrities being out and about right now during this pandemic. And, you know, everyone has their own feelings on that and their own judgments. I'm not going to be the guy for that right now. But the fact that there were so many people out there and you saw different individuals, I wonder as time keeps on going by what people's perception of like those who were out and about during this time will really end up being. I know it started off a lot more negative, but I feel like as time's kind of progressed, people have started to care less. But
no, a lot of them still have that negative Nancy outlook, which is fine, of course. It's understandable depending on people's situations, of course. But we're not here to discuss that stupid bullshit on this pod. We're here to discuss sports, Negro. And
what are you doing? Let me stop.
So after 9 points that were only scored by the kicker for 4 quarters of football, the first time in Pat Mahomes' career, and the worst loss he's experienced in his career, and the first time he hasn't thrown a touchdown in his starting career, is Pat Mahomes over with?
I feel like this is an important segment to note the fact that our energy is so different right now, and so I'm trying my hardest to give a good answer, but I can't. But, all right, he couldn't be. He couldn't be. That man is the bona fide truth. You know what I'm saying? When you look at somebody, a perennial all-star, when you just see greatness in front of you, even in a blowout loss, can you deny it? Can you deny it? You had the Bucks defense chasing this man around like he was a rat that they were trying to get out of the house.
Like Elmer Fudd.
They were on his ass. And somehow he was still able to get off some incredible passes that, again, weren't completed, but gave me glimpses and hopes of years to come.
Which I don't find fair. Like, all jokes aside in the stairs and, like, my personality right now, like, that is one thing that I found the least fair about this Super Bowl, to be quite honest, because, yes, the GOAT came in and proved that he's the GOAT. Like, once again, like, 7 rings, like, that's unprecedented. Like, 7 out of 10. Like, you've been there 10 times, you got 7 rings, you got... Like, isn't it 7 or most of them you have the Super Bowl MVP, you know, out of your own rings? I think like 5 of them he was the Super Bowl MVP, if not 6.
I wouldn't doubt it, especially since he's Tom Brady though, because like,
of course, dude, the whole thing with it, and quarterbacks being favored, we get that too when it comes to sports. But I mean, like,
kind of hard not to give it to that man.
But like, so this is not talking down on Tom Brady in the slightest, because clearly he won that game. Clearly he proved the point on the opposite side, which we have talked about, of like GOAT v. GOAT, like future GOAT versus current GOAT, you know, like kind of thing. Like but one thing that I do hate, and I get a little bit mad about hearing people discuss football, which I'm a casual like everybody else with this sport.
Very casual.
Like, so I want to be completely honest, but it's like, when your body is horizontal in the air and you throw a side pass, like, wasn't it over 30 yards? Like, it was a long pass, like a side pass that was a long pass, and you hit your receiver in the face mask. You can't talk like he's not great. Like, that's not greatness. I know those are missed passes, but we sit here and, nigga, like, my man, we sit here and we talk about, like, some of the missed dunks in the NBA as, like, if they hit that dunk, that would have been greatest dunk of the year. Right? There were certain passes that Pat Mahomes had in this Super Bowl that would have been greatest pass of the year if they were completed passes.
There were so many good moments, but I feel, especially to go on more on your point, it's the fact that football is such a team sport, though, with just the amount of players involved in it, that I think it's really hard to keep up this argument from the Super Bowl being Tom Brady versus Pat Mahomes. I know that was obviously the matchup people wanted to see in the sense of, you know, how pivotal the quarterback is to every team. But there was a lot more circumstances at play here. And again, you see it from their, I don't want to like bail out anybody, but like we were saying, Kansas City had somewhat of a depleted team, right?
They had an all-pro O-line, and half their all-pro O-line was sitting. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we have to be real about certain things too, because like, people are making memes and jokes, but realistically speaking, and this is why I love speaking about sports with athletes versus casual people online. And this isn't to shit on casual people online or to act like their opinion doesn't matter, but until you've laced up boots, you've put on like a shooting sleeve, you've put on shin guards, you've put on cleats, like, and you've played any sort of team sport, right? You don't understand like exactly what you were speaking of about the fact that we can't place this all on Tom Brady and on Pat Mahomes. Because yes, the way football is sold, the way these awards are given out, like the Heismans, the MVPs, and all of that, like, it is very quarterback favored, right? And with that quarterback favor comes quarterback responsibility, which is every loss is your fault no matter what in the media's eyes. But like, this man, Pat Mahomes, they showed a stat, which is outstanding, bro. Like, you talk about like great running backs, bro. Like, you'll have a 300-yard running game. People think you just went out of body, out of spirit, right? This man, Pat Mahomes, ran 500 yards behind the line.
They had him running for his life. It was incredible to watch. The fact that, again, and I feel like it just highlights the greatness that is the fact that even with zero protection, what it felt like, this man was still able to find the opportunities that weren't completed again, because it felt like some of the other players came out a little bit timid. They ended up picking it up and trying to make something happen, but the game just didn't go in their favor, and it was a little bit harder fought than that. They had to come out swinging from the jump because the Bucks had a fully stacked team ready to compete that have been there before. Even if it's a first-time team, Tom Brady's been to how many Super Bowls? Exactly, that was his 10th. You know, Gronkowski's been there along with him for a few of these.
Apparently every night till the game came up, I mean, just like you were talking about when it comes to just preparation and being ready, one thing that I think goes into Tom Brady's had a being the GOAT is that is an ultimate winner. Like, you could tell, like, he only is there to win no matter what. Apparently, like, the days up till the game, like, for weeks, like, up till the Super Bowl game, every single night at 11 p.m., he texted the whole team, we're going to win this. We're going to win this. Like, little stuff like that every single night. You saw how he was holding everybody accountable on the field at all single times of the game. Plus, like, you saw Leonard Fournette, you saw Mike Evans, you saw, like, all of the players on that Bucks team. There was not a moment of that game, which we love talking about in fighting, right? Or we even make this example in basketball, where at the end of the day, you're a pro, right? You're a pro and you're here, it's dog season, right? You can't walk into an arena with another dog, no matter how well you think you're ranked, no matter how good you think you are, and not want it at least equal the level of that other dog where he's going to get the best
as soon as you start to slip up and even waver, like, in your confidence and your belief, you lost. You lost.
Because you saw the way those Bucks were coming, boy. They were coming like they were angry all game.
And Kansas City just seemed timid, bro.
They seemed timid for the first time.
It's all right, because this isn't the last time we're going to see that team in the Super Bowl. Not even
$500 million, man. You think this is the last time he's going to be in the Super Bowl?
I think they might be running it back. Both teams we might see.
We might see some Golden State Cavs shit.
This is all I have to say.
I wish Tom retired though, low key, because obviously he's a winner. He wants to keep playing football. He loves this sport. He said he wants to play until he's 45. But bro, you just won your 7th Super Bowl.
I saw a thing that I didn't really put into perspective. Since he was 37, he's won 4 Super Bowls. He's 43, so 6 years, he won 4. Let that sink in. That's kind of insane. We got to give respect to the legend. And at the end of his speech, they were talking about, all right, Tom, so can we expect to see you here again? He's like, of course. I'll be here.
He said, I'll be back.
He said, I'll be back. That was almost sounded. The thing is, though, that sounds cocky. That sounds unreasonable. But
if you've been 10 times, it's not unreasonable.
Statistically speaking, you really should believe him.
Since he's been in the league, he's been to the Super Bowl every other year. Like, on average, basically, right? Like, since he's been in the NFL. So you can't bet against that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least to get there, like, if there's one person you could count on to get there while they're playing, it's Tom Brady. So shouts out to him. He's the undeniable GOAT in my eyes at this moment. But, like, one thing people did throw into him being the undeniable GOAT right now is his path to the Super Bowl this year being arguably one of the hardest paths in NFL history, and it being in the age where he was 43 years old. Because he not only had to play the other 2 names and the 3 names that are in the GOAT current conversation of the players playing, which is Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. He had to beat Drew Brees. He had to beat Aaron Rodgers. We know about how that one felt, at least Drew Brees one. He also had to beat who people are calling the young GOAT in the Super Bowl as a Pat Mahomes. Man, that is incredible.
I think
that is incredible overall. We have to give it to this Buccaneers team, man. I know they put the win now together like immediately for Tom, and people talk about his whole cast is all pro. How many win nows have we seen fail? We watched the NBA, you know what I'm saying? We watched the NFL. We've watched so many win nows look crazy, look mad.
That's important.
Look nuts. So talk about it, be real, you know?
I don't know. For me personally, I wouldn't say it's the craziest run up lead up I've seen. Just like a person getting to the Super Bowl and winning, and what they had to go through. We've seen some crazy years of talent just spread all across the league. I know the QB position feels like it was lacking for some of my years growing up, so maybe that's probably where people see it. But at the end of the day, it's not that for me. It's like, okay, what was the defense doing to this man? Because that's what he's facing. He's not really facing Drew Brees, you know what I mean?
But you know how they paint it.
Exactly. So it's like, were those games tough for him on that, right? Yeah, and they still made it work. So even as a Saints fan, it's funny though, because now that loss doesn't feel as bad when you know it still fucking sucks. I mean, it still freaking sucks. But when you see that the team you lost to won the Super Bowl, it didn't just win it; they won it decisively.
Wow.
You probably gave them one of their best games in the lead up to it. So in some world that could have been you.
And then really like one of my biggest concerns, I guess, when it came to this one is, what are they going to do next year? And that's not just with like the winning the Super Bowl and like all of that stuff. We saw clearly like a Gronk, for instance, like Leonard Fournette, for instance, like AB, for instance, like these players that signed the like quickest 1-year contracts just so it could be the win now situation.
They might run it back.
There are certain players that need to get paid now. And so like now that they need to get paid, like I know AB and Gronk are 2 that I think may take as little as they took last year.
Gronk doesn't need to get
just
paid
because like Nick just know like who they're playing with and who fought for them and who like wants them on the squad and who's they want to.
AB is the only person out of that.
Leonard Fournette, I feel like is about to just go. Like, there's a team that's about to give him a buttload of money.
He's out of here.
I think he's out of here. The team is about to give him a
is,
buttload of money.
They could use and they can keep him, but they can definitely find that.
But their other running back was straight.
The only thing
he was good
is though the fact that AB, if he ends up really trying to demand the bag after his lead up in his career, I would be surprised, man, because it took a lot for him to get back to where he is, to be able to say, to get to that to win the Super Bowl, to be in this position.
Caught the touchdown in the Super Bowl, too.
I know he's definitely probably relishing the moment and just like, you know what, as long as Brady's around, I'm going to be chilling for a bit and we're going to make it happen. After that, he might just be demanding everything he needs.
And Brady fought for him, too. That's why he may really just play this next year, because Brady signed a 2-year contract. And see if Brady retires. If Brady retires, then go to another team. I know Gronk is literally going to retire the second Brady retires. Like, he's only here because he wants to play.
He retired.
Yeah, he retired already.
He was like,
came back because he wants to play with
Brady.
And so shouts out to that. But moving along from football, just because I think that there was a good discussion that I saw on Twitter, and I want to see your reactions to it, but I'll set it up in probably a little bit different way. They were having a greatest athlete of all time discussion now that Tom has won 7 out of 10, right? And he's been there 10 times. And a lot of people were arguing, the obvious, the fact that Tom Brady is not that athletic of a just like flimsy looking, like white 40-something-year-old man, to be completely honest. Just being honest. From like how he's set up in athleticism to like Goliaths, like LeBron James, to like a Cristiano Ronaldo that looks like God himself came down and sculpted these muscles, on certain people and how their bodies work. And like a Serena Williams who's in the exact same bag of like crazy athlete when it comes to athletics, right? Pure athletics. But I think a lot of the discussion comes down to being one of the most winningest and like dominant people in your sport has been like one of the more dominant people in your sport has been the way it's been kind of framed. And so my question to you wouldn't be necessarily who you would put as the greatest athlete of all time, because that's a hard discussion and that would take a long time to sit and think of, because there's the domination of Tiger Woods, there's the domination of Usain Bolt, like there's a domination in Michael Phelps. Come on, now.
You're not even just talking about just the winners, bro. You have your dual athletes again, like a Deion Sanders, who's able to play professionally in 2 sports.
Literally play professionally in 2 sports, unheard of. Would fly on a plane after games so they could catch the game in New York when he played on the Yankees and on the Falcons.
Herschel Walker, like all these different athletes, like you don't see that.
Exactly.
But so what's the question?
So then my question to you would be, do you think that there is credence putting Tom Brady in a discussion like greatest athlete
this is where I see this conversation.
Or do you think it should be changed to most dominant athlete?
No, I don't think it should be most dominant athlete. I don't think it should be greatest athlete. That whole concept, because this conversation isn't something that just happened.
Of course.
This conversation's been here for decades. But the thing is, decades past, the only sports they really had, except for baseball, for the most part, you had to be athletic to play. So, I mean, I'm not saying like a QB isn't athletic, but Tom Brady's just at his age doing it like it is an athletic role,
No undermining, of course.
It's very athletic role.
Of course.
And so
we've just seen more athletic QBs,
so it's just at a time where probably the least athletic sport you're going to have is baseball. So everything, you can use the athlete argument. But what I see now, because we have esports, we have all these different kind of sports, we have all this, and you know what it takes to be good at anything to that high of a level, even if it is mostly mental.
He loved league.
Exactly. I mean, he's still, bro, he's one of the best, like, to be fair, he's one of the best, I don't want to say athlete, but I feel like the word athlete has to evolve, and that's what I'm getting at here, to where it's not just, and I used to define athletics in the traditional sense, but in the greater sense of encompassing mental, encompassing the skill, and encompassing all these different things. Because when you have that conversation, then you can really pay the proper respects to all athletes in their respective sports, as well as get a better understanding of who really is the best competitor. And that's what I feel like they should get down to. And competitor, obviously you could have a dog mentality, but if you don't win, if you don't have the championships to prove it, you're not going to win it. Chris Paul, we love you. You don't have the chips. You're not going to be the greatest competitor. Or else he'd be up there. Otherwise,
because we've seen even Kobe and them talk about like him being the most competitive person in the league they've seen. Kobe said beside himself, You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's with great respect to him.
With great respect to him, but it's just like you do have to win to be in this discussion.
Because that one's tough.
So I definitely do think the word athlete needs to evolve. I'm not gonna sit here and be a Shannon Crowder. Shouts out to I Am Athlete though, but and sit here and just shit on esports or like influencers and like things that are just not traditional routes. You know, when it comes to these sports and when it comes to these things, because realistically speaking, and just being people that have been in the esports,
6 names come to my mind.
Being in the esports realm, right? Like, and people that have paid attention, people that have watched like Worlds and seen how people give it up for like League of Legends and like Call of Duty even and like Halos, and we've seen everything, the Rocket Leagues even, like boom boom boom. Like, one, we could definitely say someone like Faker is one of the most dominant people.
Bro, we've seen him,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
not just the back-to-back world championships, like I'm pretty sure
a decade of people being scared
but
of him.
Every time you were basically in the finals for like 6 runs straight or something like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Something crazy. And then you see past that. You see these in our lifetime, at least in their respective sports. You saw the Faker in League. We saw the Serena. We saw the Michael Phelps. We saw the Usain Bolt. We saw the Braun. We saw the Tom Brady. I feel like there's so many athletes who are just... There's always an athlete dominating their sport for their decade, or whether it be a decade or 2. So it makes it kind of hard. Because then you have to go through the history of it. So if we were doing a single sport, I feel like that's a little bit easier conversation. But I like what people are getting at, because in a sense, though, it helps bring up awareness and conversations to athletes that may be overlooked because of like their sport might not be the biggest or whatever,
or their gender,
or their I'm getting exactly. And the gender was the next one. I was gonna say,
Serena winning that title while pregnant, it might be one of the hardest things I've ever heard in my life. Just like literally, like tough, like on some wow, that was
that's
crazy.
Insane. That's insane. I can't imagine it. I can't.
Nigga, my stomach be hurting. I'd be walking upstairs like, my stomach hurt.
Imagine the hormones. Like, you know how hard it is to keep that mental straight just normally when you're competing at a high level in the biggest arena. Now imagine doing it while you're pregnant and everything's out of whack. Like,
beast, like inspirational. Like, honestly, like the way you were describing Steph shooting the other day,
it's truly inspirational. Steph Curry.
Like, definitely how I feel about like anything Serena does. Like, cause so definitely I feel you on that. So that's a good way to frame it. And A, the evolution of the word athlete, but B, just realizing that it is a moot point to even discuss and argue some of these things in general, like greatest athlete of all time, because the definition of an athlete is going to be different per sport, right? And 2, when you get into it in the sports, which is why we have to talk about like greatest quarterback of all time, greatest running back of all time, greatest wide receiver, greatest lineman, greatest this, greatest that, because like at the end of the day, you can't call like Tom Brady the best football player of all time. No, he's the best quarterback of all time. So you can't even generalize in their own sport, then you can't generalize across sports.
Exactly.
So that's a good one for surely. So then moving right along to probably my favorite section of sports, especially going to be my favorite section moving on week by week because it's my favorite sport right now. I believe it's our favorite sport.
It's been my favorite sport of all time. Like, so, I can't say I've ever really wavered on that one.
I will say, I will give you your credit. You have not wavered. Because I had soccer was my favorite sport ever, then it was something else, then it was basketball. I think I let football take it for a little second, but then it was basketball. Basketball's always been top 3. And it's always like the moments that mattered in basketball were some of the highest. So don't get it twisted. Like Kobe moments mattered more than the whole NBA to me. Now I can watch everything and I'm cool with everybody and everything. But moving right along to NBA with general NBA news and discussion that is going on right now. One is, so I'm going to ask you a question as our NBA aficionado, right? With the All-Star break coming to Atlanta this year, right? Who do you predict as the All-Star snubs already? If you could just tell the people that they're not paying attention to what they're doing right now.
That one's tough.
I only have one name, personally.
I don't think any of the regular snubs from years
they're not going to
are going to be snubbed this year. So the Beals in there, you know what I'm saying?
Imagine them, bro.
The Zach LaVine's in there.
You think LaVine's in there this year?
100%.
Because I was hoping they're not snubbing that.
I think they're going back to East and West. I think they need to. It might be hard to get it done now, especially when they're logistically still trying to make the All-Star break even happen. Yeah. They might just go on what they did last year and for these past few years, but they need to bring back East and West because it's competitive again. That would be fun to see. Devin Booker, but is Devin Booker a snub right now? I guess with Clay out.
With Clay out, he would be a snub.
And with CJ's injured. and CJ's injured.
In the most respectful way
Yeah.
possible, I'm taking Devin Booker over CJ every single time. Every single time.
That's
and CJ's been going crazy.
That's the only one that's a really hard like comparison. You know how much I like Devin Booker as a player, but I feel like in this last 2 to 3 years, CJ just upgraded his game to a point where it honestly, if he didn't look like he did, and I don't know what it is, because I feel like people are giving him some Urkel treatment or something, they'd be putting a lot more respect on that man CJ McCollum's name because he is a bona fide winner. Like, I've seen a lot of, like, clutch moments, more so from a second option in him than a lot of people's favorite players. Like, CJ's nuts.
No, go hard, bro. Give respect where
The
respect
40-point
is due.
games.
We'll never be mad at respect
50.
given where respect is due. So, honestly, like, if I had to give a top 5 from each side, though, just like if I had to give starters, right? So
Okay.
I'm going to give my East starters, then I want you to give your East starters, then I want you to give your West starters, and I'll give my West starters. I'm pretty sure the list should be relatively similar, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that they do the East-West, right? But if I had to go starters on the East, I'm going like KD, Kyrie, and fucking James Harden.
Three
So there's
from the
3
same
from the same team. That's so easy. And to be quite honest with you, I'm going to go Zach LaVine and Joel Embiid, personally, if I had to go 5.
It's crazy because I understand where you're coming from, and I genuinely could believe it. I know even saying that's about to get like, just what are y'all talking about for what's going to come out of my mouth next? Because I know most people would have it, those 3, Giannis and Joel Embiid. But look, man, let's be real here. Like, I need somebody who's going to be a threat at all sides of the court.
Oh, for sure.
And you have like
Giannis
a
got
dominant
relegated.
guy in the paint. Like,
Giannis got relegated.
for me.
He got relegated to the bench for sure. Who would be your 5 though? Basically the same thing.
No, it'd be close though. I would think KD at the 4, Joel 5. Again, Harden and Kyrie don't matter. They're just both gonna be guards.
Yeah,
and then it's probably going to be. Oh my goodness! I'm actually putting way too much disrespect. It wouldn't be Kyrie. It would be Harden, Jimmy Butler, Beal, and then KD and Joel Embiid.
I'm not mad at that at all. To be honest, really, like, I'm just a Zach LaVine stan club, to be completely real with you. Even though I do love that nigga and think that nigga is super fire, but I think that, honestly, if I had to change anything from what I've already said, it would just be switching LaVine and Jimmy, for sure. But that still would be mine. Russ, if he makes it, would be off the bench. I don't think he's making it this year. If it's East and West, just to be real. Unless it's just like the respect for Russ thing where they drag him on because of that. But
he might, if it's East and West. If it's just best players in the league, he's not.
But then West, give me your West 5.
My West 5 would probably look something like, obviously, LeBron James, obviously Anthony Davis, and then Jokic. And that's just straight up for the front court. Let me think what my back court would be. I'm liking the Steph Curry. And honestly, I'm probably going to say Dame. No, I can't say Dame because I say Steph Curry. I can't say Kawhi. I can't say Paul George. I'm saying Dame. It's Dame time all
I'm not going to lie to you, bro. No cap. That's the term with the no cap. Bro, I'm not going to lie to you, bro. The way PG and Kawhi are starters, bro. But the thing is, the way I don't want to make them starters just because it's fucked them.
Who are they starting over?
Bro, stop.
Who are they? No. I get the Kawhi one. I get the Kawhi. Who's PG starting over? He's playing crazy, but which spot? Is he playing? Is he over Braun? Because the fans aren't letting that happen.
Low key.
The fans aren't letting that happen.
This is the 5. I personally. I think it's Braun, AD, Steph. Duh. Braun, AD, Steph are your starters. Then I think it's Kawhi and No. Kawhi.
Jokic is playing.
Kawhi and Jokic.
I think
Kawhi
if you make Joel Embiid a starter,
It's Jokic.
Respectfully, you gotta make Jokic.
It's a Jokic. We have to be real. It's a Jokic. We have to be real. It's a Jokic. But it's like.
But the West is just deep though in general because the bench is crazy, man. You have Luka. You have Paul George. You have all these good players that are able.
LaMelo an All-Star year 1.
If they do East and West, potentially. I don't think so though. I don't.
Nah, he's not.
He's got to put up crazier numbers.
I was just boosting. But like to be,
I'd love to see it though.
To be honest with you, like with the Jokic is for sure starting, but keep it a beanie.
Let's be real. On Zion's numbers, he's an all-star.
No, for sure, Zion's an all-star this year. If they're not snubbing, but think about the way that they're Ja's not an all-star this year.
And I know, but I'm just saying the potential for what this bench could be. The West is deep.
Oh, for sure. But honestly, I was sitting thinking about it. Keep it a bean. PG starting over Kawhi. And if you had to choose one of the two, I want to choose Kawhi every time because I've seen what PG's done recent years in big moments, because he used to be big moment P back in the day, but in recent years in the big moments it's looked a little spooky. But
the bubble's tough, man. I know everyone clowned the bubble, but the bubble was a tough situation.
For sure. But we also saw this nigga shoot 0 for 87 in the series with Dame the previous year until the game. The last game, though, I do want to give him his respect. I think that nigga went off and reproved himself to everyone. That last game had 36 or something. Dame just hit the shot and waved, so he waved all 36 points away. So
you can't complain that it was bad.
No one cared about that. And you can't complain it's a bad shot.
The man's nickname is Mr. Logo, but anyway.
Nah, you can't complain. Nigga called Mr. Logo. He said it's a bad shot. He shot from his spot. You know, you let him shoot from his spot.
I'll check the scouting report. It's a good shot, coach.
but then moving right along from All-Star, just because we're gonna have to stay tuned and see what happens with that.
I wanted to ask you.
Go hard.
It makes me kind of sad that it's an All-Star break in Atlanta right now, especially when with NBA regulation, you're not going to be able to have the fans as much when it comes to going into the actual facilities and being a part of the festivities and fun. You're going to have a very limited amount of people that could be in there, and they're going to do better than the NFL on that. So it's not going to be easy to get in. However, Atlanta being one of the only places that's open, the city is going to be...
It's about to be stupid.
Crazy.
So many families are going to be broken that weekend. So many families are going to be
Magic City with Harden in town. Let that one sink in. That's all I had to say. It really wasn't even... I don't need a statement. I don't need a response. I just had to put that out there.
Ladies, I'm letting y'all know All-Star Weekend in Atlanta. There has not been an All-Star Weekend basketball in Atlanta since... in
2003?
Since 2003. So... Ladies, I want you to know that was 18 years ago. I'm 27. We were 9 years old if you're about my age. Now you're a grown-up. You have bills. You know what I'm saying? You have things to do. If you're looking to get something paid for, that's the weekend. That's the weekend. That's all I'm going to say, though. That's all I'm saying. They will be in town.
They will be.
They will be. And guess what's crazy about All-Star Weekend? You think the niggas the other 400 and something niggas in the league aren't going to be in the town that the All-Star break's going on if it's a fun town because they just like hoops and they like to be around it? You're mistaken. So those bench players that nobody knows their name of but are still making the minimum, they pay bills. Let me stop.
I wonder if there's going to be fun runs during All-Star Weekend.
Probably, to be honest.
That'd be definitely cool to randomly hoop with a G League or NBA player.
Probably some crazy runs. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm gonna try and be
some private runs are gonna happen. I'm gonna hit some
masked up.
I think we could definitely find some runs if we need to. Definitely masked up. But moving right along to, I was just gonna spend a moment and speak on LaMelo, but I feel like we're getting. Nah, it's our sports segment, so fuck it.
I feel like we are running a little bit on time, so we might have to
I will save the LaMelo comments just because we speak about LaMelo every single week, and so we're definitely gonna 30-point game, 7 threes made in another game after that.
Say rookie 3-point record off the assist from the prior rookie 3-point record holder.
What and already has a higher scoring. Let's stop. But a crazy game. We're not going to get into those comparisons and all those kind of things. Where I don't think they go there. But because that sounds like some hating, and I don't mean to hate truly. But moving on to the last thing we're going to speak about on the sports space for this week is the comment that Kevin Garnett actually made. Kevin Garnett made a comment this week where he was basically saying TLDR and not so that, and hopefully I'm not missing anything, but he basically said that he doesn't believe that the players from 20 years ago could keep up with the players in this generation because of everything that people have basically been saying, the evolution.
He's basically saying that you can't really play defense with your hands like that anymore. Hand checking's been just taken away, especially the way that you have to be technical with it now. So players are a lot more crafty and saucy, and pretty much if you got any type of creativity with skill, you can make so much more happen on offense that's really hard to guard. So I don't know. My point of view, I really appreciate that because you're not going to get it's hard to get a better opinion than a primary source. This man
and a defending legend,
a Hall of Fame career in the NBA. And like you said, I think he
won for his defense. He won Defensive Player of the Year a couple times.
Yeah.
A couple times.
So, and first team all defense a few times. So the thing for him, though, is that I definitely believe that there's certain players. I think the all-stars and like the above average players can hang to some degree. Some of the above average players would end up being role players. The all-stars might not be first options. You know what I'm saying? They might have to figure it out. But there's certain players that just immediately stand out in mind that I know could still hang no matter what. You see a Steve Nash and you know what I'm saying? Steve Nash is one of the original reasons why I really believe you see the NBA and this is where magic happens. You know, you're gonna still see productivity. You're gonna see all these things. Like, there's definitely players that could still hang in it.
There's players that could hang, but I definitely get his point too, which a lot of niggas kill me for, even though this nigga KG basically came out and said exactly what Chuka Offer said. But the thing I said there are certain players whose knees literally weren't built for the crosses that Kyrie has. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine, bro, I'm sorry, bro. Like, the way that niggas that have like the fucking all the way sliders slid up handles be making my knees shimmy and shake in LA Fitness, you know what I'm saying? And I think my lateral movements are sturdy because of soccer and just like other sports that I played in my life. Bro, like these old NBA players, bro, seeing people that literally still to this day, every game I watch, it's not just like some games. Every game I watch, and it's special players though. Like, that's what I mean is the difference with like what a KG is speaking about. Because like a Kyrie, a Dame, a Steph, yes, they qualify for what he's talking about. Like a special player, like if a Steph Curry was dribbling in front of some of these niggas 20 years ago, like they would honestly have to just tap their coach on the back and ask like, hey coach, you see what he's doing to me, huh?
That's the important part. I feel like...
But it's not all the point guards nowadays.
That's
like,
where people have to keep in mind. Like obviously...
Jay Crossover would eat. He did eat.
Baron Davis would eat, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I genuinely think there was some good players that would surprise people. However, you are not wrong when
Jason
you got the likes
Williams
of
would eat.
LeBron James getting lost by Steph Curry at the time, still in his defensive prime, where he's locking everybody up, just getting eaten up by these guys. It's kind of hard to defend that, especially modern day. So I think I'm definitely holding credibility to what KG says, not just because of who he is, but like seeing the argument. But I think we have to understand that that's most players.
For sure.
The all-stars and things like that, they're going to be able to hang.
And so, like, that's basically all I have to say for this week's episode of the Sports Space. Y'all please comment, like, subscribe, whatever with that stuff. But just go ahead and worst case, like, on Instagram or Twitter, just DM us and give us opinions of just having the sports to decide. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is it something that you are excited for? I know a few of the homies have hit me talking about, like, liking more short form than, like, the hour plus content and just spread them out in different areas. And Esco's even been talking about that. So we're definitely trying different things.
And we're excited.
But just not long-winded for now. You'll hear more announcements when more announcements come. My name is Shuga.
My name is Esco.
And this is the Sports Space. Yes, sirski. Or a different name.
What to say there for a second.
All right, peace out, y'all.